Welcome to the review of Fulham 3, Newcastle United 1. Delighted, absolutely over the moon with 3 points. And what a game it was. Let's get into it. For the first time this season, I've had to watch the highlights back and write down every single chance there was because, well, that they showed on the extended highlights, because there were so many. And there were so many talking points within those chances as well. So let's just get into it. This is a video for not only Patreon members, but YouTube as well. So anyone can watch it, whether you're a Fulham fan or a Newcastle fan. Hello to any Newcastle fans watching. What did you make of the performance? A lot of people in the comments of the preview were replying to the title, can Fulham, end their awful run against Newcastle? And the answer was yes. Yes, they can. A lot of people said, no, they can't. But Fulham did. Sorry if my Wi-Fi just dropped there. Nothing I can do about that. Let's get into it. The game started in frantic fashion. In fact, Newcastle had the ball in the net. Joe Willock was played down the left-hand side. He pulled it back to Joe Linton. Shot was well saved. Rebound went in. You're thinking, oh my word. I mean, that is just the worst start. But then 2 seconds later, the flag goes up. All is forgotten. And then Fulham just kick off. Take the free kick. Anderson pings one out. It gets headed away. Ball falls to Fulham. Played out to Adama Traore. Cross in. Raul Jimenez on the chest, on the turn. I've seen that goal before. We've seen that goal before from Alexander Mitrovic against QPR in 21-22 in the 4-1 win. But this was Raul's moment. And what a goal. What a way to get, 2 goals in 2 after scoring two penalties in the shootout against Preston as well. Raul was at the top of his game. And you love to see it because, again, questions were asked about Muniz and Raul Jimenez, even after the West Ham game. Is there enough goals in the striking department? Well, if we play like that, especially at the Cottage, if we play like that, honestly, we will get buckets of goals this season from all over the park. But Raul, what a goal. I mean, really well taken. I mean, it was so similar to Mitrovic's goal in the way how fast the ball went in the net. On the turn, Shah, could he have done better? I've watched some Newcastle fan reaction. They're absolutely seething at Fabian Shah. I'm absolutely delighted for Raul Jimenez. Raul Jimenez getting across his man, chesting it down, swiveling, shooting, scoring. 1-0 Fulham. Next, Emil Smith-Rowe just hits the crossbar. The ball falls to him on the edge of the box. And he just lashes it really hard. It just hits the bar. It was such a whizzing effort. Newcastle, and this is the thing, they were shell-shocked by the goal, and then suddenly they had to deal with this whole host of just Fulham flurries coming forward, and they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to cope with the link-up. It's just an absolutely unbelievably good first-half performance. Adama on the right, Iwobi on the left. You got Robinson on the outside of him. Tete did brilliantly. Match day coverage was really good, highlighting how good Adama Traore and Kenny Tete were linking up, and obviously the chances they created. Obviously, we speak so much about the left-hand side and about Robinson's threats and Iwobi and the way they've linked up with Smith-Rowe as well. And obviously, we'll come on to Smith-Rowe's goal and how they link up again. But credit has to be given to the right-hand side as well. And Fulham were just playing with such freedom. Sasha Lukic picking up the ball, Andres Pereira picking up the ball and just playing it forward. And Fulham were coming forward at will. I am so pleased with this performance. Absolutely fantastic. Next, so Emil Smith-Rowe just crashes the crossbar literally about a minute or two after Fulham take the lead. And then the next one I have down is Raul saved by Pope. So Iwobi plays the ball over the top. Raul, it slightly goes wide, but he still gets onto it. And then Pope saves. And then it goes out for a corner. Just another threatening attack. Just another quick ball over the top. And again, Dan Burn just had such a poor game. He couldn't quite deal with Raul Jimenez at all. And yeah, it wasn't like a golden opportunity, but it was still a good chance. And then I think from maybe that resulting corner, because I think Fulham had 2 corners in the first half where basically I tweeted at the time, Anderson peeled off and won the header I think both times they were like blocked because it wasn't like the header had power, but there was so many men in front of the ball that it was obviously just going to get blocked. And I think it was on the second instance in this chance here where he wins the header and it falls to Robinson after a bit of a scramble, and he just blasts it high and wide. But yeah, just another threat. And then next we have the Emil Smith Rowe goal. Is it a Pope error? Absolutely. I mean, I don't really know what he's doing because there's no power on the shot from Smith Rowe. He just sort of tries to poke it in. You know, and if he doesn't score that, people are going to be like, oh, like, why did he just not smash that? But then again, like, if it came off Pope and then came out, I think there'd be Adama Traore would be there to finish it off, and it would be 2-0. But it's just the link-up play, just beautiful. Robinson, Iwobi, Smith Rowe, I just absolutely adore it. And Smith Rowe just drifts into really good spaces into the box. And we're just seeing like the sort of telepathic link-up now, and it's just really good to watch. Really exciting. At 2-0 up, you're thinking, wow, given what happened last week against West Ham, we're now 2-0 up inside the first half. And we'll get into, let's get through all this, and then we'll get into, you know, my opinion and what I thought of the performance and stuff. Okay, so Smith Rowe makes it 2-0. Fulham are in basically dreamland against an opposition that a lot of people were fearing. And I think that's why this is important that we talk about that a bit later. Lukic with a really good ball over the top. And Raul Jimenez sort of runs onto it and clips it over the bar. I mean, he's unlucky. He's sort of on the run, and it's a difficult chance to put away. But this is what I'm saying. Fulham were just absolutely carving them open and just creating chances of will. And by the way, these are all chances for Fulham, and Newcastle just didn't have a chance in the first half. Honestly, not one that's notable that's going to make any highlights package. And then Adama Traore bursts into the box. He then sort of takes what Burn takes him wide, and decent defending. And then the shot is saved by the legs of Pope. And then last chance of the first half from the highlights package. There might be another one in there, but I can't quite remember because there was, there's just so many chances they all sort of mold into one. But off the highlights package I've just watched, Fulham's extended highlights. Anderson with a long range effort. This is like bizarre. I think it's Gordon who's got it on the edge of the box, and like he's not even looking where he's passing. He just sort of plays the most casual pass out, picked up by Yalki Madison. It's a really good effort from the centre back, saved by Pope. Half time. I mean, honestly, I think everyone was just like, well, what on earth was that? That was incredible. From a Newcastle point of view, I don't imagine there'll be many Newcastle fans watching this, but if there is, I didn't understand what was going on. And obviously, they had to come from behind against Wolverhampton Wanderers, but I think this is really poor. And we spoke in the week about, poor performances. And it was even asked Eddie Howe after the game in the press conference that the performances from Newcastle have been not great, but they've still got results and they've still been unbeaten. So there was this whole like underbelly of narrative that at some point it's going to come to the boil and a team are going to not wipe the floor of them, but they're going to get beat, and they're going to get beat by being the second best in the game. And Fulham just did that. Now that's, 3 home games, 2 wins, 1 draw, should be 3 home wins, but I can't be bothered to even dwell on that now. Just honestly, I'm so pleased with the way we've. Okay, let's go to the second half, because this is where things get a little bit hairy. You think second half, okay, great. By the way, it's worth mentioning that in the first half, Fulham got 4 yellow cards. Kenny Tete, Sasha Lukic, Adama Traore, and Andreas Pereira. Now, okay, the Sasha Lukic one is probably a yellow because he stops play being where he started. The other ones, okay, no, actually, Adama's never a yellow for a first foul. Kenny, same, never a yellow for the first foul. Andreas Pereira, a little bit more cynical. I sort of understand it. So anyway, at half-time, off came Sasha Lukic, on came Sander Berg, and also Willett came off for Murphy, and Kelly, who was having a terrible game, came off for Lewis Hall. And then just like that, 30 seconds to the second half, a little 1-2 between Murphy and Isak. Murphy runs into space. He plays it wide to Barnes. It's a really good finish. And literally, I sat at half-time, and everyone in that stadium would have been having a pint at half-time or sat in their seat just thinking, wow, if we hold on to this and, we push on from here, it's going to be a great result, great performance, and one we'll really look back fondly, whatever. And suddenly, within 30 seconds, it's like we've gifted them away back into the game. They just let's make a game of this now. You get a goal back, and then it'll be a contest. So frustrating. Obviously, a really good goal, really well worked, but to switch off very, very early on from the restart is what's frustrating. And then suddenly they get the goal, and you're thinking, well, this basically has the exact same feel as it has last week. 1-goal margin. Fulham sort of sitting back a little bit now, inviting a bit of pressure. Even though against West Ham we didn't really invite that much pressure, it was just towards the end of the game. But Newcastle had the whole half, and they had players that they just brought on. Like I said, Murphy, Hall, they had Tonali to bring on, and I was really, really getting quite scared and getting quite fearful. It's one thing dropping 2 points in the last minute against West Ham, leading 1-0. To drop 2 points against Newcastle when being 2-0 up, my head would have been in another galaxy. But it didn't happen. But it very nearly did happen. Let's just get into the second half. So, of course, the goal was checked by VAR. I thought there was a still they were doing where it was Isak in the build-up against Anderson. He just looked offside. And from the still, he looked offside. And I was like, oh. They didn't widen the angle. So I don't know how they came to the conclusion that it was onside. Maybe it was just onside. And, but I had a good look at that. And it looked like he was ahead of Anderson. Luckily, it doesn't matter. And they actually checked for a second offside as well. But it was just for the pass to Harvey Barnes. He was way behind play. It was definitely onside. Barnes then sliced a shot wide. Pretty scary. Newcastle had the ascendancy. I was thinking, God, this is actually like really, really upsetting. The fact that the whole game had just changed because Fulham were so good in the first half in a comfortable position. And within 30 seconds, the game's on a knife edge again. And it's so frustrating. But let's get on to the next chance. Oh, should be 3-1. Adama, brilliant work down the right-hand side. Crossed into the back post, sort of. And Iwobi is just like right in front of goal. Volleys it, and it's point blank save from Pope. And honestly, he's a big figure, Pope, and he just puts an arm out and makes the save. Really, really good save. Really good chance for 3-1. And you're thinking, if Fulham don't kill this game off and we end up dropping points, honestly, my head would be just in a different dimension. And so would a lot of people's. Really weird chance next. Raul Jimenez with the acrobatic shot that seemed to take an age. I think it came from that resulting corner. Took an absolute age for Jimenez and the shot to get towards goal. And then Pope does this really weird thing where he just like pushes it out for another corner when it just looks easy to parry it. But hey ho, Pope just didn't have a very good game, did he? Gordon run and shot almost like Messi like this because he sort of, drops the shoulder and then beats a man and then beats the man and then basically finds himself in a shooting position. Really well saved by Leno. It sort of reminded me of the Jared Bowen chance last week where Bowen obviously is on the other side of the box, but he gets into that position and Leno's out so quickly to save it. And then from the resulting save, Murphy then shoots over. And then this is where, I think even in victory, I have PTSD from this. This is just horrible. I think was it Harrison Reed that got picked off? I can't quite remember who it was because I remember it being Smith Rowe was in that deeper position as well. Excuse me. It was a pass out from Leno and Shah just intercepted it. Now, obviously, I've seen Newcastle fans break this down to the nth degree. I'm like, bro, the chance is so quick. He probably didn't have time to think. And he obviously goes for goal. He hits the side net. The Newcastle fan thinks it's in. It's not in. Even I thought it was in from the angle, to be fair. And I was like, oh my God. But it wasn't. Could he have squared it to Isak? Of course. But in that split second, he just went for goal. And Shah obviously scored last week against Wolves. His confidence would have been up. What was Shah doing up there, by the way, in the first instance? What was Leno doing? Passing it, knowing he had a man behind him. It was just really messy. However, that was really it in terms of their chances up until the end of the game, because all the rest I've got here are all Fulham chances. Kenny Tete bursting into the box down the right-hand side. He could have squared it, but there was no real run from Muniz that was making it more favourable to pass it. He kind of smashed it wide. And then here's the goal. Now, 6 added minutes this time to the 5 last week. It's basically deja vu. It's the exact same situation. Fulham need to just see out the game, and the ball's finally in the corner. There's a foul on Tete. They give the throw in to Newcastle. It's a foul. I've seen it back, but Newcastle take the throw. They force it back to Bruno Guimaraes, who just takes his merry time. I'm just like, if you're a Newcastle fan, just think, just smash it downfield. You know, a couple of bodies around him, maybe he just couldn't get a clean clearance, and he ends up just turning, playing it across the box, which is suicidal in itself. And then Muniz gets a touch to it, accidental. He's just in the way, falls to Nelson, and oh my word, I don't think I've ever celebrated a goal as much. Just the pure relief from what happened last week. It could have just happened again, and it could have been a much larger and worse scale, given it was a 2-goal lead. But no, I knew it was a bit of a gift wrapped goal for Reiss Nelson. But mate, you got to finish it, and he did. It's a great finish from Reiss Nelson, and that was it. Game, set, match. See you later. God bless. Good night. God bless. Like, honestly, superb. House of End went crazy, as did everyone. I think there was just like this huge sigh of relief around the ground that Fulham didn't collapse again. And now we can talk about consequences, which is my favourite part of the video. And then it's also worth noting that Harrison Reed, who, by the way, when he came on, I know he plays further up the pitch now when he comes on, like just a little bit better than he was against West Ham. Bit more energy, won the ball back a couple of times, and in this instance, won the ball, played it to Muniz, and it just smashed it over the bar. I think even Newcastle had a chance, but didn't make after that. Straight at Leno, it didn't make the highlights package. It might have been Harvey Barnes. I can't quite remember. Asuda looked quite good when he came on as well, driving run forward. Everyone from a Newcastle point of view were like, why did we not start Tonali? Why did we start Linton? Blah, 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 blah. Not my concern. That's a Eddie Howe problem. They go to AFC Wimbledon, of course, in the week. Fulham have got a whole week to prepare for Nottingham Forest. We'll get into that, of course, on Wednesday or Thursday. Let's have a look at the stats, and then we'll look at the table, and then I'll give my final thoughts. Let's go with the match stats, which are here. 61 possession to Newcastle. But Fulham had an XG of 2.29, which is the most they've created so far this season. First time we've scored more than 2 goals in a game as well. Newcastle's XG was 1.54. 22 shots from Fulham, 16 from Newcastle, 11 on target from Fulham. That is good. 50% on target rate, but Fulham were just having like chances at will. And some of those chances that were off target were also good chances as well. 5 shots on target from Newcastle. Big chances, 5 for Fulham, which is good because I feel like previous games we've had like 1 or 2 or whatever, but 5 is good. Big chances missed, 3. Newcastle big chances missed, 1. 82% pass accuracy to 90% of. Fulham only had 283 passes in the whole game. Newcastle had 506. That obviously reflects in the possession. But Fulham had 6 corners to Newcastle's 0, which is weird. I think that's probably that in terms of stats. We don't need to go through everything else. Would quite like to see passes in the final third, but it's fine. It's fine. Now, let's look at the table. Fulham up to 8 points and 8th in the table. It looks really nice. I will just say that we are 7 points above the relegation zone, which is also really, really nice. I'm not going to count my chickens yet, but let's just talk about that performance. If you play like that, and this is what I tweeted at halftime. I was like, this is the sort of performance I expect from this starting 11. The starting 11 has an abundance of quality. Anderson, Bassi, Robinson, Tete. I'm not going to go through the whole lineup, but you know the lineup. And that midfield just worked so well yesterday. Newcastle were completely off it, and Fulham just took advantage. And not only were they playing in the wide men and linking up with Jimenez as well, but they were driving runs forward from midfield. Smith Rowe drifting a little bit wider, linking up with Iwobi. I just absolutely adored that performance. From a Newcastle point of view, it's pretty concerning. Newcastle fans are very concerned. Is it an overreaction? I'm not sure, because obviously they were so off the pace. But this is what Fulham should be doing at home. And this is why I sort of felt so embarrassed after the game. I was talking to my brother about it, and I was just thinking, like, when I previewed this game, I just underestimated Fulham so much. And someone put in the comments, I think you're underestimating underestimating Newcastle. And I said, that can't be right, because I think Newcastle, even though I predicted Fulham were going to win, I was like, Newcastle was going to be such a tough game. I'm only saying we're going to win because I need us to win, and we did win. I underestimated this Fulham team against an opposition. It is an opposition that obviously have huge quality, like West Ham, but just take the game to them. You're at home. I just wonder how we approach that game against Nottingham Forest next week. Forest play at 2:00 against Brighton and Hove Albion. But yeah, just so proud of the performance. Leno, everyone was just brilliant. Obviously, Leno getting booked. Harrison Reed got booked in the second half as well. Yeah, there was a few yellow cards, that, and we had to make substitutions because of those yellow cards. But pain is gain. No, that's not really a good saying for it. But you've got to sacrifice, getting yellow cards so that you can, stop dangerous counterattacks, and then obviously you got to change the team up. Like Sacha Lucas had to come off because he was booked, and Pereira and etc. etc. It's just such good that Jimenez scored. Great goal as well. Smith Rowe just keeps on performing at an unbelievable level. And then, of course, Reece Nelson getting off the mark in the league as well after his goal against Preston. Is there any more to say? Probably. I could probably go on for another 20 minutes about how delighted I am, but I think people have got other things to do. It's Super Sunday. It's Manchester City against Arsenal. It's Brighton and Hove Albion against Nottingham Forest, our next week's opponents. And it just feels really good to say that Fulham have won a game of football by 3-1. Let me know your thoughts below. Newcastle fans, if you are watching, what went wrong? What went wrong? Was it the lineup? Was it the way that Eddie Howe lined up and the way that Newcastle approached the game? Because, of course, they started really strongly. They scored, but it was offside. And then from there, they were just completely caught out by a long ball from Anderson, and maybe hadn't reset themselves from obviously the disappointment of having the flag go up. And Fulham took full advantage. Was Shah too soft on Raul Jimenez and didn't get tight enough to him? Who knows? But Fulham have finally beaten Newcastle. It's been 7 years and 8 years at home. We did the double over them in 2016-17. I completely forgot about that. I thought it was 2014. 2-1-0 wins. 2014 Dejago, 2016 Matt Smith, and then away from home Newcastle 3-1 win for Fulham. 2 goals from Ryan Sessegnon, who was on the bench yesterday, of course. Unchanged team. Harry Wilson came off the bench. That is it for today. I'm absolutely delighted. This is obviously a video for Patreon members and YouTube as well. Patreon members, we will have more videos every day up until the Forest game and beyond. So tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And if you're watching on YouTube thinking, boy, I want a bit of that action, then the link's in the description of the video right at the bottom. It's in my Twitter and Instagram bio as well. £5 a month for daily Fulham content, which includes under 21s action, interviews of under 21 players, managers, first team players, first team manager, of course, and just behind the scenes bonus footage that you and content that you might not see from another Fulham journalist. So thank you so much for watching. It's been a bit of a long one today, but when Fulham win, you've got to dissect it and you've got to be really, really happy. I am delighted. I'm sure everyone else is delighted. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. And we will speak again, previewing Nottingham Forest on YouTube. And like I say, Patreon members, we will be back tomorrow. No doubt about it. Thanks so much for watching. And, well, come on, Fulham.